Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishabhai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om. So, we started with the mantra Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahana Bhunaktu Sahaviryam Karavavahai. You must have heard it many times, but nobody knows. Huh? Yes. Tejasvina Vaditamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti. So I'm starting with that. Don't worry, you're getting your Kriya. Good to lay some foundations before we go. Because the whole edifice might collapse. So, if you heard the mantra properly, then you might have heard one word repeated 3 times at least. And what word is that? Saha. Om Saha Na Bhavatu. Saha. No, Bhunaktu. Saha. Viryam Karavavahai. Tejas, and so on. The Saha here indicates you and I. We. So what's the meaning of the first sloka? Sahana Bhavatu. May you and I be protected. Bhavatu. Protected means protected from, according to Google, it's going to rain heavily at 4 o'clock, like that. Protected from rain, protected from earthquakes, protected from the vagaries of nature, protected from mosquitoes, and so on. Anything physical. It also means protected from thoughts that intervene and destroy the tranquility of your mind. That is also included. Not only physical protection, but also mind protection. That the mind be protected from those influences that take it away from introversion to outer world. So this is the first help, call for help. So you see how important it is to be protected from these. And one of the ways to keep the mind protected from outside influences is to engage it in some internal practice. Right. Now the second sentence, second sloka. Sahano bhunaktu. Sahano bhunaktu. Meaning, may we be nourished. Nourished with proper food, right food, neither too much nor too little food, healthy food, food also that doesn't distract us from meditation. When you say food here, it means anything that goes in. Physically, you have to watch out what you eat or what you drink so that it doesn't prevent you from meditation. The prayer is a call for help. Don't tempt me with such things. Sahano bhunaktu. It also means the right food for the mind, which is what you learn, what you absorb from the outside world and the inside world. May I have the right mental and physical nourishment. Then, Saha viryam karavavahai. may the virya, very simple, the English word, virility, virya, energy, strength. Although in English the word has now got a completely different connotation. It means actually vigorousness, not biological virility. So, saha viryam karavavahai, may our virya increase for you and me. Tejasvina vadi tamastu, may the tejas meaning the light of understanding, shine in you and me. Tejasvina vadi tamastu, ma vidvisha vahai, let's not quarrel with each other. Which means, let us look at the problem together. Which is why saha has been so repeatedly used. Let us not, well, you can have a dialogue, it should not become an argument. There's a difference between an argument and a dialogue. An argument is you have already kind of convinced that this is correct. I am convinced that I am correct. And you and I are trying to meet impossible. It's a clash. If you and I say, okay, here is a problem, let us look at it together, then it becomes a dialogue. Right? So, Tejasvina ma vidvishavahai, let's not fight with each other. Let's sit down and try to understand. This is the mantra. Okay. Now I'll start where we left off. We said that we need to touch on the Yoga Sūtras of Patanjali and the Ashtanga Yoga described there, which means the 8 angas. Because Kriya Yoga being part of yoga, the practitioner, or one who wishes to understand, will also understand and be ready to practice the steps to go. You can't say, well, I will live as I like, but I want to reach the... This is not possible. Just like for anything else. You need the right inputs, you need the right food. Okay. Suppose you have a heart problem. You go to the doctor and he says, I can give you the medicines, I can treat you, but you cannot eat this, you cannot eat that, you can eat this only this much. You need to do exercise. Right? What are these? These are the rules to be followed, the regulations. Otherwise you can give medicine, but it's not going to work much. In the same way, we consider that most of us are sick with the illness of the illusion called the world. And to free ourselves from this heart attack, this heartache, we need to follow certain rules and regulations, at least minimum rules and regulations. This is where Yama and Niyama come into play. That's why many people like to go the other way. I will just say, I am not this body, I am Brahman. It just doesn't work so easily. You may be the Brahman, but you may be the Brahman who soak yourself every night in alcohol and you cannot find the truth. Because the mind, after soon, the capacity of the mind to even think on subtle matters vanishes. Well, you can't go and think on subtle matters when you don't even know if you're wearing your clothes. Right? So certain rules and regulations have to be followed. And they are basically rules of moderation. the Gita, Krishna describes Yama Niyamas as this yoga is not for him who eats too much or eats too little, sleeps too much or sleeps too little, and so on, which means no extreme habits. Keep everything under moderation. Nobody says you shouldn't entertain yourself, but let life not be a constant entertainment. Right? So, these are the rules to be followed. Now, Patanjali, in his Yoga Sūtras, starts with a couple of yamas and niyamas to be followed by those who practice meditation. One of them, of course, the first one mentioned by Patanjali, first one mentioned, Yama, is something not so easy to follow but possible to do. Even in that, don't do extremes, start with moderation. Ahimsa. Now, ahimsa, the word means non-violent life. It need not mean just physical violence, it could even mean violence in words, violence in your activity. Somebody can pretend to be very non-violent. He won't hurt anybody, but deep down he might be seething. Right? So to eradicate that, because without stilling the turbulence of the mind involved in these matters, you cannot hope to go into the recesses of your mind and find that which is the true essence of your being. So, violence need not necessarily be physical, although physical violence is important. You can't say, well, why did you slap the guy? I slapped him, but inside I am peaceful. No, not like that. It's simply that. So, all I'm saying is that the mind also matters, and words matter. You can hurt a person by a slap, but you can also hurt a person with one word, single word. So watch out when you speak what you're doing. This control is also part of ahimsa. If I think I'm a wise man and somebody calls me a fool, it's violence. What happens to me? I don't. Maybe I'm a fool, but I don't. Babaji, my master, told me, if somebody calls you a fool, don't get angry, go look at the mirror, you might be a fool, bloody fool. So, to be kind and good. Of course, there is a situation, suppose somebody breaks the window, comes into your bedroom, is trying to steal your wife, be violent, no harm. You're defending yourself, you're defending somebody else. But even then, yogi is somebody who will not hate that guy. He might save his wife, but he won't hate him. There's something wrong with him. Otherwise, why would somebody do that? The main thing about ahimsa is that internal hatred should go. People can commit mistakes. You can correct them if you want, or if you feel like it. But don't hate. Now in this comes a category which may not be so easy in modern life. There are ways and means of eating nutritious food, eating healthy food full of protein without killing animals. Don't tell me I kill animals but I'm a kind man. No. Or say somebody else kills it, I just eat it. in some parts of the world, there are people who are called professional pushers. They push the mountain goat down the mountain so that it falls down and dies, and they eat it. And even monks. And they say, we didn't kill it. Buddha said, don't kill. But then this died, so we ate it. So, watch out what you believe and what you think and what you do. So, also think about this. Do you want to make your tummy a graveyard of dead bodies? And today, we cannot say that there are no nutritious foods which can be obtained without killing an animal. There is enough. In Finland, in Helsinki airport, I was given a beautiful steak. I said, I don't eat steak. They said, it is vegan. Well, tasted good. I had a little digestive problem next day, but okay. Unfamiliar, yeah. So, one has to adjust. Again, I have to warn people who from childhood have been eating food which is non-vegetarian, not to suddenly stop, because it might cause reaction. Go slow. But keep this in mind, I want to eat food without violence. Slowly you will succeed, very slowly. I'm not saying there aren't good people who eat non-vegetarian. I'm not saying that. I'm saying for the purpose of sadhana, spiritual sadhana. And I'm also not saying that all people who are vegetarian are good people. I know people who feed ants every day with sugar, don't mind bumping off their business partner. This is not non-violence. And for your information, Adolf Hitler was a pure vegetarian. He even refused to shake hands. He refused to shake hands with King Abdul Aziz of Saudi Arabia because he said, I do not want to shake hands with meat-eating barbarians. So do you say? So it's not like that. You being sadhaks and who want to practice, you should be careful of your food. And don't blame anybody. I know lovely people who are very nice people. It's okay. You get what I'm trying to say? I'm not trying to build up hatred against people. I'm only saying that one has to be careful. That's enough. So, Ahimsa. Then another one, another Yama, Niyama, rules, regulations, you can mix them up, is satya. Now here again is perhaps one of the most difficult things to maintain, which means stick to the truth, no matter what. It also, in the previous one, when you say violence, it's manasa, vāchā, karmana, which means violence by mind, word, and action. When you meditate and sitting outside, and if you are bitten by hundreds of mosquitoes, you can kill the mosquito, there is no escape. But I'm saying, can't we prevent that? Sit with a mosquito net. Be practical on these matters. Okay. So, satya. Satya, the word means the truth. Very difficult to practice nowadays in daily life. Because all our life is built up of, edifies, built of lies, the propaganda, the media, the business models. Everything is built on not the absolute truth, but falsehood, most of it. So how do I live in this world? Live in this world understanding this fact, that we should try as much as possible to be truthful. Otherwise it's a contradiction, because I am looking for the universal truth. And 24/7 I'm telling only lies. It doesn't work. It's a dichotomy of the mind. Actually it's a split mind. The brain is split. When the phrenia is split, it's called schizophrenia. You're living in a wonderful schizophrenic world. How do I become sane in the midst? It's not easy. So, my master, Babaji, once told me that if the world that we live in is a result of 1,000 years of sanity, it's better to be insane. Anyway, so we have to watch. And how do we do it? Very simple. Well, this rule applies, it doesn't apply to lawyers and politicians, please. That's a profession, I can't help it. Okay? I hope there are no offense meant. So anyway, before you speak, you need to speak the truth. Truth also is defined as that which causes minimum trouble and minimum injury to others. So suppose you want to say the truth. You see somebody and you think that he is a terrible fellow, and you want to tell him that you are a terrible, because that will be the truth, right? So what do? Just shut up, don't say anything. Don't say I have to follow Ahimsa. So, the truth, so I'm going to tell him that you're a monster. Instead, just keep quiet. So, be practical. Truth also means that which does not cause trouble to others. So, if something is true, keep quiet, don't mention it. And this is not my own invention. I once asked in India at least, in legal circles, a very well-known man who was the Chief Justice of the Supreme Court at one time, called Justice Venkatachalaya. So one day I asked him, "Sir, what does Manu define as truth?" He said, "Truth is that which is true, and that which when spoken does not cause injury to others." So, some rules to be followed. And so therefore try your best. Now, there's a formula which I use. Before speaking to somebody, wait, don't blurt. Think a little bit, half a minute. 3 questions. What am I going to say now? To whom am I going to say this? And is this the right condition to say this? It may be the absolute truth, but you may be saying that to the wrong person. And then instead of creating peace, you create trouble. It may be the right thing, but this may not be the person to whom you should say this. Imagine someone has a big fight at home with his wife and has come to you. How do I lead my spiritual life? Wake up every day morning and worship your wife's feet. You can see the reaction. You think, even if it is truth, no harm in worshipping the feet. Well, I don't, but anyway. So, when you make sure that even if it is true, is the right person to say this to? And is it the right time to say this to? People pass through so many turbulent times, so sometimes it may not be right to speak the truth to somebody. If you follow these three little points, I think 80% of problems can be avoided in this life. Most problems arise because we use irresponsible words. So, let's move quickly from truth, because it's not such a comfortable thing. Satya. And then there is something called aparigraha. Aparigraha is simple living. Now everybody knows simple living, high thinking and so on. Simple living doesn't mean that in the modern world you should walk around without any possessions. This is not going to work. At least you need a credit card probably. What it means is, if you have too many things and too many possessions, not possible to fix your attention on something. Your mind keeps wandering. And there is the fear that what you have might be stolen. If you are free of all this, then you can have as many things as you want. There was the great king Janaka, who in ancient times was considered to be a rishi. At the same time, he was the king of Videha. But he lived his life in the palace, but his mind was free. So this is possible, but it is not so easy. To try, the most important thing is not what you have or what you don't have, but the capacity not to be troubled when what you have goes, and not to be overtly greedy that you don't mind killing somebody to get something for yourself. This is aparigraha. And to keep your possessions less is a very simple affair. You know it is quite logical. The more you have, the more you're worried about it. So this is aparigraha. There is one more rule which in the modern world is very difficult to follow. Non-acceptance of gifts. This entire world is based on gifts. Where will you go and buy clothes where you get 2 pairs free? Yeah? It is a gift. This whole world is gifts. I like this guy, who every day he brings roses for me. So why did they introduce it? On the face of it, it seems such a nice thing to do. Give a gift. The simple reason is, especially it applies to a spiritual teacher. Because today you come.
Just the last phrase. You could hear the last phrase, especially.
Especially when it applies to a spiritual teacher, I said. Non-acceptance of gifts. And if you are recognized as a spiritual teacher, you are the guy who is most prone to that danger. Because all gifts are loaded. Somebody gives you a gift generally, let me give this to him, all my troubles are, I'm leaving it at his feet. He's eating the halwa, all the troubles. I'm not saying there aren't such cases, there aren't. Also sometimes people give out of genuine thankfulness and whatever. Okay, I understand. Why has this rule of not accepting gifts applied? I said especially to a spiritual teacher because, okay, today you come to see me and you come with a packet, with an envelope, brown envelope, little bit thick. And you put it there and then you do your pranams and then you go up. Tomorrow when you come, I'm watching if that cover is there. Well, if I'm a genuine, I wouldn't, but watching if that cover is there. Now what happens? The other guy who comes without a cover doesn't get any attention. You get all the attention required. Huh? You know that, look outside at the world. So the yogi is told, don't get unnecessarily indebted to somebody. Keep yourself clear. This is the meaning, not that today if I say I don't accept, somebody brings some, people will get worried. If somebody gives me a gift, and if you think I'm a spiritual, if I refuse it, you might think, oh, I have such bad karma, I didn't even take the gifts that I gave. So you take it, but you should keep this in mind. Not to judge anybody by the gifts that they give you. Keep it. So I also accept the people, all these flowers. That room is full of flowers. They look nice, but I would rather see the flowers in the garden outside. Right? I love flowers. I also love little children, kids. I don't want to cut them and stick them in vases. So, there are reasons why people say, don't accept gifts. But please be kind about this. Don't abruptly rub somebody off, saying, take it away. This is why some yogis, if you touch their feet, they don't like it, they'll jump back. In the Rishikesh, I once saw a yogi go down from the parapet to the ground because he jumped back, not realizing the parapet was very narrow. Hari Om, he said. So, be practical about these matters.
Did he survive when he jumped back and landed on the ground?
He almost broke his back. It was quite high. Anyway, he was a very thin man, so we could carry him quickly to the hospital. So these are some practical points you note in the Yama Niyamas. Did I miss any Yama Niyama? No questions now. We have time for questions. Huh? Did I mention all the Yama Niyamas? Some, most of them. So please be ready to, when you start the sadhana, not only this, but any yogic sadhana, to give attention at least 25% to these things. And gradually you will build up. When you touch something inside you which needs no support whatsoever, then you will be able to practice all this. Till then, try. Okay. Then, after Yama, Niyama, what is the next step? Āsana. Now, when you say āsana, Yama, Niyama, āsana. Now, āsana, there are more than 85 asanas. I'm not saying that every day you should do all the asanas. At least select a few asanas, ask your expert teacher to choose it for you, and then it's a good thing to practice the asanas. I have been practicing asanas from the age of 10. I know that it's good. But from the point of view of Kriya Yoga itself, you need not practice all the asanas that are there. We have something called the Mahāmudrā, which combines the effect of many asanas. I'm not discouraging you from doing asanas. You should. If you're doing, don't stop it. Oh, I'm doing Kriya Yoga, so AM said to me, you can stop. No, I didn't say that. I said in Kriya, there is an exercise called Mahāmudrā, which takes care of the effect of many asanas. Now, what is the principle of an asana? The principle of an asana is that you stretch your muscles and then you relax them, right? You don't stay in that posture forever, you relax. Also many of the asanas, you bend your spine forward or you bend the spine backward. And in some asanas, you reverse your body so that the head is down and feet are above. These are roughly what asanas are all about. The main thing is to to tense the muscles and then to relax them. Right? Now, asanas are not only physical, they're effective in bringing about some kind of balance to your ductless glands. What are they called? Endocrine glands. I think if you do too much Sirsasana, your memory goes. I forgot endocrine glands just now. Anyway, so endocrine glands, starting from the pituitary down, they are the main glands that control your system. If the pituitary pumps enough serotonin into your bloodstream, then you say, I'm enjoying my meditation. And if there is a little bit of dopamine, you can also see beautiful visions. If it goes too much, you'll have to see a doctor. So, serotonin, when it is in the blood, you feel nice and beautiful. It comes from one of your endocrine glands, the pituitary. Yoga asanas are designed in such a way that they have an impact on your endocrine glands, and what happens accidentally can be made to happen deliberately through the asanas. Plus, any posture where your feet are up and head below, unless you have high blood pressure, don't practice, it increases the circulation in your head and therefore in all the areas of the brain. Because in yoga, sadhana, you're not asking you to put your thinking faculties in the freezer. It needs to be active. Except that the finest and the sharpest intelligence will soon discover its limitations. So it helps. It also helps if you just sit down and bend your head down. Because normally we walk around, except when you lie down, still it's this way. We generally don't have an opportunity to bend down, put your head down. So even if you're very proud and if you don't want to bow down to anybody or anything, shut the doors of your room and nobody's there and bow down a few times. It's good for you. So in the olden days, they had small doorways to enter temples. You had like this. Now renovation has changed everything. You have big doors, fluorescent lights in temples, and old granite structures sometimes have been covered with porcelain tiles. What are they called? Glazed tiles. You know, sometimes you go and see an old temple renovated. They put glazed tiles around the sanctum sanctorum, and you kind of end up looking where the pot is. Anyway, there are fluorescent lights. So, so what did I say? Asana. Patanjali defines asana in the Yoga Sūtras just with one sentence. He says, Stira Sukham Asanam. Which means that posture which gives you comfort for a length of time, great comfort, is your asana. Now this applies to your posture for meditation, because Patanjali is more concerned with that. However, there are many asanas. Yoga Pradīpika has many asanas. So what you should remember that the asanas are not merely physical, and they are based on the principle of tensing the muscles and relaxing them, and they have an effect on the endocrine system. This you should remember. That's it. Don't overdo, and there also practice moderation, practice of asanas. Now, many of us get angry. No? Suppose we get angry and we realize that this is no good. In fact, you can perform better if you're not angry. Well, you can pretend to be angry, that's a different story. Sometimes work is not done if you don't pretend to be angry, but not really angry. You decide that in anger you lose your balance. You can't think clearly when you're angry. Your blood pressure shoots up also. So you have decided, I don't want to be angry. But it is so difficult, right? Because we try to take charge of the anger after it has come. When you watch as it comes, there might be a possibility of doing something, but then before you know it, it has already kind of burst forth and you can't do anything. It creates mostly harm than any good. After you're angry, then you realize should not have, not required. So you decide, okay, I don't want to be angry. Can I lead my life without being angry? It is not easy. Your body, your endocrine glands have become habituated to pumping an extra level of adrenaline into your bloodstream. It is anger. Heart begins to beat faster. I'm just explaining that there are asanas by which you can bring a reasonable amount of control to your anger, provided you decide you don't want to be angry. If you want to be an angry young man, it's all right. Angry young man has become almost 80 today. So, not me. We had a hero in India, in Bollywood, like Hollywood, Bombay is Bollywood, and his brand was the angry young man. Now he's become quite old. He did a good job, of course, those days. So, if you do a particular asana, you can, if you decide first that I don't want to get angry, not otherwise no use. Regularly, you can control, you can prevent your anger from coming up like that. And therefore the anger chemically is coordinated by the adrenal glands. They are somewhere here, near the kidneys. And any proper massage of this area with your muscles can moderate the flow of adrenaline into the system. There won't be a supercharge. But this is called Matsyāsana. This is demonstratable. You do it every day with the desire to not get angry because it doesn't do any good to you. In 6-7 months you will find that you have it under control. And what is Matsyāsana? Anybody here who does asanas, who can do Matsyāsana for me? Nobody does asana. I'm surprised. Matsyāsana, please. If you do there, nobody will see you. You have to do it here and then do it here. So sit in Padmasana. Then go backwards. Okay. Keep your feet on the ground. Hold your toes. Pull. This is Matsyāsana. Fairly simple. If you can sit in Padmasana. Okay, fine. Now come here and show for this side or that side. Head is back like. So where is the exact massage happening? Here. Okay, Thank you. Thank you very much. Now here, it's also the place when you get angry, you feel some heat happening here. It's a center for digestion, for anger, for desire. We discussed that in the morning, remember? So this is the importance of asanas. Now, when you do Mahāmudrā, Mahāmudrā does the effect of a couple of asanas put together. So if you are not doing asanas, at least do the Mahāmudrā before the Kriya Prāṇāyāma, which is the central Kriya Prāṇāyāma, which we'll learn tomorrow. Okay, so then what is the next? Yama, Niyama, āsana, Prāṇāyāma, breathing, Prāṇāyāma. We discussed Prāṇāyāma and how the prana runs through the different nadis and what we need to do and so on. Apart from that, Prāṇāyāma is a very important part of our mind. How? If you are agitated about something, or if you are working hard physically, what happens to your breath? Watch your breath. Breathing very hard, right? Erratic many times, breathing laboriously many times. Happens. In your angry also it happens. You know that. I'll kill him. Now, I was only giving a demonstration, okay? And then you have, suppose you are sitting quietly in a place. Like we have a sunset here and you're sitting there on the porch and watching the sunset. It's so nice and calm, there are birds. Just close your eyes and look at your breath. Usually, unless you're also having a love affair, it slows down. Very slow, very quiet. So, if your moods reflect on the rhythm of your breathing, the question was, can we change the moods by controlling or manipulating the pattern of breathing, from which this whole science of Prāṇāyāma has come up. And the easiest way to calm the mind down is to watch the breath and allow it to slow down. And there are many other pranayams. You will learn Kriya Prāṇāyāma, what is Kriya Prāṇāyāma, and so on and so forth. So that is Prāṇāyāma. I'm looking at the 8 steps. And then, Pratyahara. Pratyahara means, it's usually translated as, what is it translated usually? Withdrawal of senses. But actually it means the capacity that the yogi acquires through constant practice to be able to fix one's attention on any given object or thought, and at any given moment switch it off and fix it somewhere else if you want. This is pratyahara, which means a yogi, true yogi, when he's driving on the road, is not meditating, he's driving. But if you meditate when you're driving, you know what will happen. Not only you, but the poor fellow outside also. So a yogi is one when he is driving, is fully absorbed in his driving. This is called meditation. When you're gardening, you're fully absorbed in your gardening. This is meditation. And a yogi is not one who, when he is meditating, is thinking about his car. He's only meditating. The reason why we find ourselves unable to meditate in the evening or morning when we sit down, you can't fix your attention on one thing, the mind is wandering, because all 24 hours of the day, no, except when you sleep, your mind is wandering. You are thinking of one thing, doing something else, you know that what happens. So you can't expect in the evening 15 minutes for the mind to get quiet. That's why it doesn't work, it's difficult. So if you practice daily, giving complete attention to what you're doing and not anything else, then when you sit down to meditate, you will meditate and think of nothing else. This pattern has to be developed. This is called pratyahara. Now I'm going to tell you a story. Many of you who have come before might have heard it before, but it's important to understand what it means, what it conveys. Many of you have heard of Zen, right? Zen. India is very popular, Zen, because it's imported, made in Japan. We have a saying in Malayalam, in my part of the world, muttatte mullekku manamilla. That means the jasmine that grows in your own garden, it has no perfume. The other fellow's garden is nice. So, it is imported. So I'm not saying anything against Zen. It's beautiful, wonderful practice. So, the founder of Zen was a great yogi, a Buddhist of course, called Bodhidharma. There were no photographs then, but if you have seen any painting or likeliness of Bodhidharma, you'll see he's unlike many people whom you would think are yogis. There's a big bulk man with moustache, maybe gummed. Bodhidharma was from the south of India, from Tamil Nadu, a place called Tanjavur. Bodhidharma is the acquired name. He was an expert in meditation, and therefore he introduced a brand of Buddhism which laid maximum stress on actual meditation, apart from the philosophical texts. Plus, he was an expert on unarmed combat. So, he was an expert in an art which in Kerala and Tamil Nadu, in some parts, is called Kalari. Kalari fight is an art of modern unarmed combat. And it was Bodhidharma who exported it from here to China. And then it went to Japan with a small name changes happening. In fact, the Japanese word karate actually means unarmed, khali hat. So anyway, so Bodhidharma was a Buddhist monk, so he was one of the first people in ancient times to go to China from here. So he took this teaching of what he called Dhyāna meditation or Dhyāna Buddhism into China. Considering the nature of the Chinese language, the Dhyāna became Chan. So it was called Chan Buddhism. And later on in its avatar in Japan, the Chan became Zen, again because of the nature of the language, guttural. So anyway, so this Bodhidharma was living on the top of a mountain with his disciples when three young men wanted to learn the teachings. So they went all the way with great difficulty those days to go on top, and there were no banners, there were no Google Maps, there was nothing. So somehow they found out, asking here, there. In one afternoon they reached, one noon, midday they reached the top of the mountain. And when they reached Bodhidharma, it was his lunchtime, break. So Bodhidharma was sitting on his low table and drinking his soup. So they arrived and they did the prostrations or whatever. They said, "Sir, we have come with great difficulty from very far. please teach us Zen or Chan, whatever. Teach us Chan. Now, Samadhi, we said, is the culmination in yoga. Later on in Zen, it is called the Satori. So they asked for a Satori. They wanted to learn Chan and get Satori. And Bodhidharma, without even looking at them, said, I am drinking my soup. So they said, what is this now? With all this difficulty, this man is drinking his soup. It's obvious. Why is he saying this? Then he called somebody and said, give them their soup. So they ended up holding soup bowls and they're about to drink. They said, this is silly. We want Zen. We don't want soup. So why? Then they asked, please give us Zen. Bodhidharma said, I am drinking my soup. They said, we are also drinking our soup, no big deals. Bodhidharma turned to them and said, no, you are not drinking your soup. You are drinking your soup and thinking of Zen. Well, me, I am drinking my soup. I am drinking my soup. I am drinking my soup. This is Zen. This kind of defines pratyahara. When you're doing something, you're doing something. You're not. Then, of course, he might have, after that, taught them what is Zen. I don't know. We know only this much. So, this is a good example for pratyahara. Then comes Dhāraṇā, Dhyāna and Samādhi. So 8 parts, Ashtangas are over. Now, Samādhi is actually the culmination. Although it's included in the parts, it's actually the culmination. So 7 parts are important. So Dhāraṇā and Dhyāna are the next 2. Dhāraṇā is the capacity developed by the yogi through constant practice and understanding the technique to be able to fix one's attention on an object to the exclusion of other objects, or a thought, the exclusion of all other thoughts, or to a sound, or to a symbol, any one of these. You can do with complete attention, which comes through Prāṇāyāma and practice and so on. Then you are practicing Dhāraṇā. When the Dhāraṇā becomes almost effortless, that you sit and you are already doing it, you're not even aware that you are doing it, Dhāraṇā is going on. Even I have gone out of it. When that happens, effortlessly flowing Dhāraṇā becomes Dhyāna. So therefore, no one can do Dhyāna, because if I say I am going to do Dhyāna, I am already there in the picture, so Dhyāna doesn't happen. I can say I want to do Dhāraṇā, and from Dhāraṇā, the maturing of Dhāraṇā is Dhyāna. It's an effortless affair. In the beginning, you need discipline, but in the end, it becomes natural. Like classical music or classical dance, you need to follow some rules, right? You can't say, I'll innovate from the beginning. What will you innovate from? You first learn the rules, then you do everything and you're an expert, and then it becomes a flow, natural flow. Then you can innovate if you like, but not before that. In the same way, Dhyāna. The culmination is Samādhi. What happens in Samādhi? There's only the flow. There is no distinction between the object, or let's put it this way, there is no distinction between the meditator and what is meditated upon. There's only meditation going on. And this happens, this is called Kaivalya. beginning of Kaivalya. It's called Samādhi. The more you begin to go into this state called Samādhi, the more you free your mind from all its support systems and become free. That freedom is then called Kaivalya. There you are fulfilled, Purna, satisfied fully, fulfilled, reach the core of your consciousness. And anyone who has touched that will know that it is an all-pervading consciousness. It's not limited to an individual. These are the steps of Ashtanga Yoga, and these are also the steps that we need to follow in the practice of Kriya as much as we can. Please understand, the practice of Kriya is more important. Steps to be followed have to be slowly cultivated. See you in 15 minutes. So when I come back, we'll see what happens.